episode number 131, Fit for Life Radio. Your hosts, Will Shively.
Hello.
And me, Gary Deagle.
We should make up names.
Radio names?
Yeah.
Like Bobby Bones?
Yeah.
What's his
real name?
No clue.
Kevin Johnson.
Like you try
John
to piece
Smith.
it together. Like maybe it's Robert and he extrapolated Bobby
And then Bones, because Bobby Bones.
But it's probably
sounds
like
cool.
way not even close. Some industry, boss probably gave it to him and said this is what it's going to be.
It's a cool name though.
Yeah.
Bobby Bones.
We'll just stick with Will and Gary.
Will and Gary.
Will and Grace. Close.
Grace.
All right. Today we're going to be talking about planning ahead for fat loss. And you're thinking probably, well, yeah, I plan to lose fat.
Boom.
That's the extent of most people's planning, right?
Yeah. That's about as far as it goes.
And that's probably the start of the problem. So a lot of times we'll plan our outcomes.
But not plan our path to the outcomes.
We'll lay out the outcome we desire and all that, but we don't spend much time planning on the actions that are going to be required to reach the desired outcome. So that's what we're going to kind of dig in with today, share some examples, and specifically fat loss, weight loss. But most people, it's not really weight loss. We're after it's fat loss.
Fat loss. We don't want to lose it all.
Yeah.
Lose your bones.
Yep.
Muscle.
And then we'll kind of go a step deeper. Obviously, part of it's, we talk about all the time, resistance training. So you got to plan your when you're going to work out and things like that. But more with nutrition, it's planning ahead for different environments and circumstances, right? Because ultimately, unless you're a bodybuilder, you're not going to just pack up all these little 6 meals a day, take them everywhere you go, 7 days a week, skip out on social stuff. Like, no one's doing that, right?
Nah.
I know I never have.
No.
And not that it's wrong, but very few percentage of people are going to do that, right? So you have to find a way to craft it for your lifestyle.
Forge your path.
And if we know for the most part, it comes down to managing your overall intake. Yeah, it's just give and take, learning trade-offs. So we'll start with one example from recently that I posted on social media, how I was going to have some whiskey, a flight with a buddy. So I kind of posted how, because I knew I'm going to have this later on this day, it's about 130 calories. It's like 2 ounces of whiskey. So I'll just drop my half a cup of blueberries and half an ounce of almonds that's in my yogurt for breakfast, which happens to be about 130 calories. Now, normally I don't like track, but I will, in hindsight, to go kind of show people these examples. And if I was specifically like, I'm trying to lose weight, or I was in the early stages of learning this, yeah, I would be tracking, right? So it's more, the point I want to make is you will and can get to a point to where you can do this, make these trade-offs, these planning ahead, almost just kind of in an eyeball way. But yeah, in the beginning you have to track because you have to learn so you can actually...
Yeah, like what's the right amount to trade off for something like this?
Yeah, so yes, as easy as that, right? Now, the thing you have to shake is, it's alcohol, whiskey, so it's a bad, air quote, food choice, right? And then people think, well, just because I had that, bad things will happen.
It ruined
right?
everything.
And blueberries and almonds are like halo, holy grail.
They're good.
Which, yeah, obviously blueberries and almonds have more nutrition than whiskey. But when it comes to, say, losing weight, losing fat, it's about getting in that calorie deficit. It's a big, major part. So it does come down a little bit to calories. So in that circumstance, yeah, I'm not going to not go and I enjoy having a little bit, so I make that trade-off, right? And there's really no guilt, there's no shame. I know it keeps me, trying to maintain, so it keeps my balance, my intake, and there you go, a little plan ahead. Now, it takes almost no time because I know kind of those numbers. Again, when you're new to it, you're going to have to, it'll be a little discomfort to plan out these things.
Yeah, because there's a little more work up front to learn.
But
just like with anything.
It sets you up so much for success. If you're just like, oh, whatever, all or nothing, right? Well, I'm going to the distillery. I might as well, I'm going to blow it, right? And then let's have two cocktails. Let's have the flight and then get a cocktail. And then, let's go get some pizza next door. And let's go get a couple beers after that. And, because you thought that you just going to the distillery on any level means, oh, well, screw it.
Yeah, like this is just going to go out the window.
Yep, and that's not the case, right? You can plan ahead and set yourself up for success.
Yeah, and there's varying levels of it too. Like yours is real simple. Like it's easy, because you're going to have just some whiskey. Cool, just don't eat your blueberries and almonds.
Yep.
Whereas if you're going out to eat if you are going for the pizza, well, there might be a bigger trade-off involved in something like that. And so it's just assessing it and trying it and doing it and knowing what to do in that situation,
Yep.
And the more you do it, it becomes effortless, like you said. You learn, like, okay, if I just structure my day this way, I'm going to be fine, and then I don't have to stress about whatever the dinner is because we are going out to get, say, pizza and not just some whiskey. So, you do have to learn a little bit.
Yeah.
And try.
Why don't you share an example?
So, okay. Usually when we go out to dinner, like I'm going to get whatever I want if we're, going somewhere. And usually when we go out to dinner, it's someplace where it's something that like I'm not going to make it home most likely. So I'm really going to enjoy myself. So generally, and I don't mind doing this, eating like just some yogurt and protein powder for breakfast. And I might even... Actually, I do this a lot. I'll double up and do like 2 large servings of both. So literally all I'm going to have before dinner is yogurt and protein powder and not even any fruit in it. Like I'll just basically protein and some fat from the yogurt, and that's all I'll eat. And then that leaves me a ton of room for my dinner, and I'm cool with that trade-off. And then I can enjoy whatever I want. Like I can have a burger and fries and whatever else comes with that and still feel completely cool with what I'm doing. So that's a larger trade-off in that case. But I've found that leaving that ton of room where I'm mostly just eating protein in the morning, I can do what I want and still hit my calories for the day.
And that's another example where, especially when you're just kind of maintaining, you kind of have a good idea and grasp. It's not about perfection. It's just about being in the ballpark, right? And well, I'm just having a couple hundred calories basically of protein, which if normally say 2,500 calories maintains your weight, you kind of have 2,000 calories left.
To play around with at dinner.
And then you're going out to eat and getting whatever you want, and it's probably going to be between 1,000 and 2,000 calories, right?
Now if I was in a place where I was trying to get a lot leaner, I would have to be more precise and more on it than just like, oh, I'm going to have a ton of protein and then, ballpark dinner. But that just comes and goes with your goals. Like you do have to sharpen up a little more if your goal is weight loss. Like yours was a little more exact, even though I know you can ballpark that really easily.
Well, and I'll say, if I was just doing it normally and just going about my business, I wouldn't even. It literally just happened to be that exact after I plugged it in.
Yeah.
I would have been like, oh, I'm going to have a flight later. I know that's about 2 drinks, 200 to 300 calories. Yeah. And then, but I'll just skip my almonds, right? Mm-hmm. But then when I went and plugged it in, I saw
it ended up being perfect.
Oh, like it's each one's half an ounce. There's 4 of them, so that's 2 ounces of whiskey. 2 ounces of whiskey is like 130, 150 calories. And then I plugged in the almonds, and it was almost the exact same, right? So again, and I guess I almost should have a caveat that it doesn't even have to be. It doesn't have to be that exact. Right?
No, it doesn't have to be a 1-for-1 trade, but it should be close.
The point you are actually doing this planning. You are noticing. You are making little switches.
Yeah, and then we could talk about the alternative, which would be not planning. Mm-hmm. And say I had a a normal breakfast and then I had a normal lunch and then we went out and I ate the exact same thing that I would have in the other example, well, I'm probably going to be over calorie wise by like, we'll say at least 1,000 calories probably.
Yeah.
And that is not conducive to my goals of at least maintaining where I'm at and hitting a certain intake. And so you do need to plan for that, because if you just treat, if you're normal for all of your meals, or if like, oh, we go grab brunch and then have another meal after that and then go and eat dinner, like then I'm going to be way over. So you do need to be aware of all of these things, and like there has to be some semblance of awareness or planning, or you're going to go way over on your weekend.
Yeah. And I like planning, almost you break it down into two options or distinct differences.
Differences.
Daily, weekly.
Yeah.
Because you could have, so for example, I knew I was going to have that little flight that Friday. So that morning I kind of looked at my day, you kind of just go through, look ahead of the day, maybe make some adjustments, right?
Yeah.
You also kind of would want to do it weekly too, right? If you, for example, Memorial Weekend's coming up.
Yes, this is a perfect example.
Right, so pool party, cookout, alcohol, food, maybe even double up.
There might be multiple cookouts you're going to too.
Right, so you don't want to adjust for that one the day of, right? So you'll look ahead for the week and know this is just going to be a big weekend. And
if you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's one scoop, mixed in water, once a day, and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out. If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's one scoop, mixed in water, once a day, and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
then maybe, again, it's more specific to, you're in a fat loss, goal phase. Then you're, during the week, maybe you cut out a lot of your starch, right? Maybe you switch to leaner meats. So you're purposely now lowering some calorie intake for each day, creating a bigger buffer for the weekend, right? So then that starts to cut out, 300 calories a day.
And that's
for Monday through Friday.
1,500 calories
There you
more that
Yeah.
you can be flexible with. So
And so you're kind of planning ahead, right? And if I've never done this, it sounds crazy, but it's just it's just respecting the laws of the universe, right?
yeah, you gotta have balance.
Which is, we can't consume unlimited calories.
Yeah.
So if you want to act like that isn't true and doesn't exist, it still is. It still is happening. Just because you're not tracking and not planning,
It's still happening in the background, man.
you're still consuming these calories,
Yes.
right? You're still exceeding your need, which then leads to excess body fat storage. So yeah, so take the time to learn and then apply a little planning, and it's really an essential element to succeeding. There's no way around it, right? Now, the point we want to get across is your planning doesn't have to be the dreaded meal plan, right?
No.
Which is where you must eat this like prescription of X amount of these exact foods. Anything off is bad, and you should feel horrible and like a failure if you screw this up, right? The reality is, like, you can juggle and make things work. Just bring that awareness and planning on a more broad scale, and kind of figure it out for you.
Yeah, I like the weekly stuff too. It does make it easier when we have a weekend coming up like we do. Like we have a cookout to go to or pool party. And then, like I said, I don't know, we'll probably go to 2 things and then chill for the 3rd day. But restricting this week, and it's generally not hard when the more you do it and okay, well, I'm just going to eat a little bit less. It's not like it's a prolonged super deficit you're going to be in. So mentally, it's not hard to get around. But it almost, the more you do it, it feels really good.
Yeah.
Like we talked about in the episode, like about dopamine and rewiring things. Like it feels good to practice the give and take as well. When you're making a trade-off and you're like, damn, like that was a good trade-off. Like that helps a lot when you can snowball that and practice it often. So little trade-offs help build up the harder ones, which would be a weekly deficit to plan for the weekend. But that's one of my favorites. Or if I have travel coming up, like the week leading up to travel, like I'll just scale back a little bit. It won't be crazy, but I'll scale back a small bit so I can enjoy myself a little bit more while I'm traveling and not even sweat it.
Yeah, and when you're even just scaling back on the more general sense, when we say that, we're also talking about knowing enough you're scaling back on your carbs and fats.
Yes, not your protein.
The energy nutrients. Yeah, you're never like, oh, I'll cut out some of my. No, you want to try and keep your protein the same, and you're cutting down on your carbohydrate and fat foods. That's where you're skimming the calories, because the reality is, when we kind of have these events and times, we're mostly consuming carbs and fats, right? No one's geared up for their. Well, I spoke too soon because it pops in my head. I'm thinking about Memorial Cookout, and you think of like all the grilling, right?
I mean, just eating a bunch of burgers and stuff.
And protein food. But still, no one's really getting excited about grilling chicken breasts.
Nah, they're going for burgers and mac and cheese and hot dogs and steaks.
Fatty stuff. So a lot of fat calories with all that. So yeah, that's one general concept you want to have is keeping your protein the same.
Yeah.
Skimming your carbs and fats, because then when we're looking forward to those certain experiences and circumstances, those are normally the foods we're consuming.
Yeah, I like to set protein like it's a non-negotiable. Like that's for the most part, and don't hit me back with exceptions. You're gonna keep it the same.
Yeah.
Really, like gaining, losing, maintaining, it can largely stay the same. You don't have to play with it. Okay. And again, there are some exceptions, but to keep it as a simple rule, just don't ever touch it. If everything is good and you feel great, but yeah, you don't need to take away from that ever.
Yeah, and let's talk about an example. Memorial Day weekend's coming up, so this is
what are you gonna do?
This is Monday. It's this upcoming weekend, and yeah, I just trying to maintain things. So lifestyle integration, lifestyle maintenance. Yeah, I'll notice. Oh yeah, that's coming up this weekend, right? So I'll probably have a little less carbohydrate portion. So normally I eat like a lot of carbs when I'm maintaining 300 to 400 grams a day. So I'll just kind of scale that back. And again, not like acutely tracking things. This is the general sense I'm at now. And then that day, so Saturday we have a pool party, and yeah, there will be drinks,
everything,
and foods, and all that people bring. And yeah, I'm not gonna track any of that, but I'll know I'm gonna consume a lot in that time frame. So I'll have for breakfast, which my normal breakfast is, like 1,000 calories. That day, I'll just have some protein or Greek yogurt, right?
Yep.
So it'll be like 50 grams of protein, basically all protein. So that's like 200 calories.
Yeah.
And then the cookout's like a little after lunchtime to the evening. So
that's all I'm eating.
That's all I'm eating, right? So it will basically be that little small protein only breakfast, and then going into that big meal to where, if I'm normally eating 2,500 to 3,000 calories to maintain.
You got room, man.
I mean, I may go over a little, but it's going to be,
Yeah, it's not going to be big.
It's not going to be big, right? And then even that following day, I could have another protein only breakfast, right? So so then right there, I kind of took 800 calories from my normal Saturday breakfast on Saturday, and then Sunday. So that's 1,600 calories I created.
Some room.
Plus the whole rest of the day on that Saturday. So that would probably be what I do. So again, it's looking ahead planning. I just talk through it out loud. I'd kind of do that in my head, and it would take 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Because I kind of know all these things down. So I'd be exactly like we just talked about. It'd be like, oh, yeah, big thing this weekend. We'll be having alcohol and food. Don't want to worry about it all. Just want to enjoy it. Cool. I'll cut a little bit portions during this week. Saturday will just be protein only breakfast. Sunday will be protein only breakfast, and then back to normal. And then the rest of Saturday will be and just enjoying.
I mean, that's really what I'm gonna do too. That's kind of what we'll always do. And even like sometimes on like the Sunday after, I don't mind just not even eating breakfast. I could do that and be fine and eat late lunch and dinner, or just like eat a gigantic dinner.
Yeah.
But I'm always going to account for it in a simple way. Sometimes it just works out that way. I didn't really try it, and it just kind of happens. But I'll probably do the exact same thing, have my yogurt before we go over there. And then still while we're there, I know that both of us usually are going to always gravitate towards eating enough of our protein and all of that, just because of the way we prefer to eat our food.
Yeah.
But still enjoying plenty of other stuff. But I'm always going to make sure I'm getting that. Even at a cookout, have a couple of burgers, couple of dogs, or even a grilled chicken or steak or whatever we're doing.
Yeah, and that's where another layer of planning, right? You can still then go to something like that, fill up on the protein first, because it will help you feel more full. Now this is where you gotta be able to listen to yourself.
Yeah.
And then then maybe you can have one serving of the mac and cheese dish someone brings, and one serving, and you're not gonna sit there and just go overboard. You'll be more filled up on the protein. You get to have a taste of everything.
Yep.
And you're happy with that, right? So for some people, that's another layer of planning. And let's kind of talk about what's the opposite of this? What do most people do? And we just eat like we're on vacation all week, no planning. We're just kind of going off of emotion and what pops into
what feels good right now.
What's in our environment, and then the event weekend comes, and we're unhappy. We're not taking action on these things, and then we're like, oh, this thing is coming. I'm gonna just try to skip all the desserts, or I'm gonna not have it, and then we'll go and try to willpower through it, and then if we do eat any of it, we feel guilty, and then inevitably we do have a bite, and then we're like, screw it,
and then you go ham.
Yep, go way overboard, then feel even guiltier.
And then rinse, repeat.
Yeah,
which is just not, as you can tell, not a good way to approach it.
And when the reality is just that was all reactive.
Yeah, it was lack of having some type of plan.
We react during the week. Oh, well, I'm hungry. This is what I'll grab. This is the place I drove by. This is what someone brought into the office. This is what I'm in the mood for after I got home after a stressful day. Oh, the weekend's here. Well, this is what's available. This is what I'm, again, same thing, right? It's all just reaction.
Oh, yeah, this is my next move in this moment.
With mental thoughts of, shame, guilt, all those things, creating that loop. So the key to kind of reversing all that is, again,
just plan a little bit.
Plan.
That's it. all you got to do. And I think always setting yourself up with front-loading protein is going to help. Like, some people will go like a burger without a bun or whatever, but just make sure you don't have to do that, but make sure that the centerpiece is getting some protein in, and then have your mac and cheese, because I freaking love mac and cheese, especially where the one place we're going to. And then, you can have whatever, the cookies and stuff after that, but you're less likely. If you only have mac and cheese and cookies, I don't know about you, I could eat that for days and not fill up and just keep eating and eating and eating
Especially
and eating.
Going through different textures and flavors.
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff.
And with alcohol involved and a bunch of people and you're out in the sun at the pool. Like, dude, you could just eat all day and enjoy that very novel experience. So you at least kind of set yourself a rule of like, all right, let me get some of the filling stuff. Even having like some fruit can be helpful. I love fruit on days like that too. So just setting yourself up to where you're not going to be a bottomless pit is really the goal.
Yep.
However you have to do that.
And realize none of it requires perfection.
No.
Exactness. None of that. It's just bringing awareness and and then celebrating that. Like we talked about in a recent podcast on celebrating the small wins. Even just starting to think about it on Monday.
Yeah. Or just a very small trade-off, like it could just be, all right, well, I didn't eat my full breakfast today. And that was it. And then you had a normal, whatever party you normally do. That's still better than the alternative of having your full breakfast and then having the full experience after that. So even that is that's a win. What we don't want you to have to do is, if you're somebody who does track their macros, it doesn't have to be a one-to-one trade. It doesn't have to be 353 calories away from your breakfast so that you can eat 353 calories later. It literally doesn't have to be that, because it doesn't matter to that, that precision. All that matters is that there's a little bit of give and take that's close. Yeah. It's in the ballpark.
Especially in one way to look at it's, what's your goal? If it's just you're at a place you want to be and you want to maintain, then you can be less precise, right?
Yeah.
In more ballpark. If it's, we'll put it this way, then you can just be in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Now, if your goal is to, hey, I want to actively lose body fat, lose weight, then you probably don't need you don't have to have the exact seat and row, but you need to be in the section, right? You need to be in the right section.
You absolutely do.
So then you want a little more, so that's a good analogy. And then more specifically, eventually lifestyle maintenance, maintain, you can kind of eyeball, do a lot of the things we're talking about. Weight loss, fat loss, you'll probably need to, maybe track. But again, even with that, you don't have to be to the exact calorie, right? Yeah. Just eat close enough.
Yeah, and take into consideration that we're also talking about more like, for the most part, like weekends are single events. Now, if you live every single day of your life like this, like the trade-offs are a thing, but it shouldn't be like a Memorial Day cookout every day where you're not eating breakfast so you can eat an entire pizza at dinner and go out and drink and all of that stuff, because that lifestyle is it's gonna catch up with you eventually. Like, it's gonna be very hard to sustain that. So just know that we're talking a little more acutely with events than we are your every single day of your life.
Yep. So put that to thought, put it to use.
Maybe put it to practice this weekend.
Put it to practice.
Just a little trade-off.
Yeah, for your Memorial Day weekend.
And then let us know if you were able to pull it off. Like, did you succeed? Did you feel good about it? How'd you do it? Because we do want to hear about that stuff. So
was it way time consuming,
or was it easier than you thought it would be to do? It was just doing it is the hard part.
Or are you just triggered because we said you live your life in vacation mode?
Yeah, if that's the case, it's okay. You're not gonna hurt our feelings if you get mad. But yeah, just try to use it this weekend. See what happens. See how you feel. This will come out on a Tuesday, so you have a good chunk of the week to maybe plan a little bit.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks for listening.
And we will catch you next time.
See ya.
As always, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn more, check us out at coastalfitnessva.com or garydeagle.com. We'll see you next time.